Now we have the glorious honour or dubious honour of actually creating the technology side, which we put into the palms of your hand. Just to reiterate, we're probably 95% of the way there, thinking we've got it right. It is impossible to test the app without making it live. And it's impossible to test it in all scenarios and in all different ways that you use it, unless we give it to an audience of about this size. So it's really, really important you do actually try and break it. And if it breaks, let us know immediately, because that is the quickest way we can get from 95% to 100. Because when you're developing something, you're always going it the same way, and you find the content in the same way and the same patterns. When different users start to use it, you'll find things that we may not have thought about, or information that we actually need in it. Okay, so let's crack on. When we started the project, there's 4 platforms basically out there. We've built it for Apple, and we've built it for Android. The reason, if anyone asks why it's not on BlackBerry, if you have a BlackBerry, you actually navigate by button. If you have an Android or an Apple phone, you navigate by swipe. So that's why it won't be on Apple, because of the navigation. There's another platform which is pretty large, but not large enough yet, which is Windows. So if you have a Windows phone, let me know, because we can put it on Windows, but we've just not yet. And the reason why we haven't put it on a Windows phone is because not that many people have them. Obviously you can click on the URL, you can go into the app stores and type in Oxtrails, and there is the QR code there as well. That code is critical, that anybody that wants to promote this gets that out so people can scan it where they're staying or at your attraction, etc. Once you scan that code, it will recognise what phone you've scanned it with. It will then automatically take you to the relevant app store. So it knows whether you're on Android or on Windows or an iPhone. So, where are we at the moment? We're on the final beta version. Now what that actually means, it all works, but we definitely know there's some bugs in it. So, as James said today, he's had 4 updates on his Android. I, in my pocket, have got the latest Apple version, but Apple publishing it up to the App Store is 2 versions behind. So anybody testing on Apple today, we know you've got some issues there, but we've already fixed those. Hopefully by Monday-Tuesday, Apple users will have the very latest version in their hands. Now, one of the challenges we've got when we're using mobile is obviously signal strength. So we have to make sure that the user can get as much content as they can with no signal. Reverse that out then, if you're going to give them as much content as you can with no signal, you need a very strong signal when you're actually putting the content in the first time. So, on both iTunes and Google, right at the top, there's a message that says, you can't read it obviously, it says please download the first time through Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi is critical when you first take it onto your phone. If you try it on 3G, which I have done, you'll get some of the content, but possibly not all. And then you'll have to go through the process again. So download it through Wi-Fi first of all, and then you'll come onto the landing page. This will always appear the first time you take onto your phone. And basically we've got 4 key areas, but they're replicated now in the menu of the application. But we all recognise that you're going to use it for the first time, so there is a how to use section within the app which you can always go back to if you get stuck. That how to use is obviously really, really important for everyone to get the best out of the application. If you read that for us and you find something that's not quite clear or you think should be in, once again, let us know and we'll add it into the how to use part. Whoever uses apps a lot, and hopefully there's a lot of you in the room, will recognise those 3 dashes are common parlance in app world. If you press it, it's the back button. Okay? So it'll always take you back to the start of the application, which is the home screen. The one on the right, which we might change because it looks the same, is actually, I've just noted that, thinking, not that clever.
Just undermined you,
yeah. The one on the right is not a back button, so it's not always used as a back button, obviously. That should have been taken out because I fed that back in already. that is actually where you go to find your Twitter account. It will change very soon. Main menu then. Obviously self-explanatory, so I'll just go through the things. Obviously we can go back to the home. Introduction's all about the trail. Then the exciting part, which is the trails itself. We talked about the how-to. Postcard we've got in there, which we'll come on to a minute. And then we've got on here, it will either say log in or log out. And I'll explain why we've got the log in and log out, because that really is important for the objectives of the project itself. So let's have a look at the introduction. As you'd expect, it tells you a bit about the trails, and you can read that through. It flows down to the next part here where we've got further information, so we can get to the Oxtrails website, one click. We've got the tourist informations, one click. They will go out to websites. And sorry to reiterate this point, if you haven't got a signal, it won't go to a website, obviously, because it needs that. The websites, though, open within the application, so you don't get lost. You're still within the application, so if nothing comes back because you've got no signal, you can carry on moving forward. Back to the main menu, and the postcard. Now I quite like this bit. Obviously if you're going to visit somewhere, you'll normally send a postcard, and we have some here, and some very nice people have decided what picture to go on the postcard. Obviously we've got technology, you can send your own picture. So simply take it through the application. Now, if you have a tablet, I'm sorry I'm being really basic here, and it has no camera, it won't work, because you do need a camera. Because it is actually designed for phones, which all have cameras. Once you take the picture, you just literally put the email that you want to send it to. It will drop that picture in, and I've got an example on my phone if they want to see it. And what it does, it actually sticks the Oxtrails logo on that photo. So as people start taking these photos, when someone receives it at home and didn't know you were on holiday in South Oxfordshire, they get this postcard, they'll have a message from whoever sends it, the picture they've taken, and the logo of Oxtrails on it. So it's constantly promoting the area. Our next stage in our roadmap of development is so that you can actually tweet it out. Sounds easy. Not as easy as we first thought, but we will get there. Okay, now into the trails. As James said, we've got 5 trails. Sorry, one missed off the bottom when I did my screen grab, so I've listed them to the side. We haven't missed out food, it does exist. You'll then go and click on one of those trails and it will open up. And this is the first page you will see within the application. So Oxtrails food. And then we can drill down a bit more, start, info, and waypoints. And what I'm just going to do is very quickly go through how you navigate through. What I will say, you've got all of these photographs running through the application. I think we've got probably nearly 160, 150 something photos in the app now. So it's very rich on that type of media. Once again, we can actually save all the photos into the app, which we've done. Any audio and video are driven by links, because to download when you first bring it, and you've had a video in there, it will take a long time. People can get the audio trails and get the video, but they'll be going out to a website to bring them in. And once again, you need signal to do that. So let's start. It will then come up with this screen. If you have your GPS signal on live on your phone, it will know where you are. So it will then ask you, do you want to start from the first waypoint, as in literally number 1, or actually go to the nearest point you are stood? So it stops people starting number 1 and realising they're actually 20 miles away. So it will go straight to the point that's closest to them. So here we've got it going through, and I think I said start from the first waypoint. So by default, it's opened the application at number 1 on the trail. If I go to my nearest waypoint, because I actually opened this in Manchester when I did it, it always takes me to waypoint 25. So I presume that must be the north part. Northern part, because I'm a hell of a lot further north than that. It works, because it always comes up with number 25 for me. You'll notice we've got some longitude and latitude in there. Now that's once again for our roadmap. We've got lots of clever ideas thinking about here, and geocaching, i.e. using quizzes and games with your geocodes, is quite big in some groups. Not myself personally, but a lot of people like doing it. So we're already ready for those sorts of things. Just going through the navigation, obviously a little arrow takes you back to the start of the trail that you're on. If you go to the 3 dashes at the top, it will either take you back to the home page of the app, or it will take you into your Twitter accounts. Image gallery then, every single waypoint has its own images. So as James was showing me there on his slides, how lovely the place is, everyone can experience that. And they've got 5 images there, and you can have it as a slideshow rolling, or you can just click through each individual image, and they're all full screen size. Because we're using phone then, the map icon is there as well, and I'll come on to that in a minute because it's got 2 types of maps in there. Now this one, if you are a business owner in the room, that is probably, and you're not already in the trail, the most important icon in this app. Because if someone clicks that and your business is featured, they will go to your business page. They can phone you, they can email you, they can open your website, and you can feature a promotional voucher in there to take them to your business, and they should only be maximum a few meters, 100 meters away from you. I'll come on to that later. And then these 2 arrows here take you through the trail. So I'm at point 25, click, I'll then move on to point number 1, etc. If there's any questions, because it's all very quiet, shout out. So into the image gallery, as I say, full screen size. We've got 5 per image. You can just run the slideshow, or you can click through them. No doubt at some stage we're looking for other projects, and we might put it in this one, so where people can actually take really good ones themselves, we might be able to add them in there as well. Now, back onto the mapping then. 2 terms, offline and online, and many will be thinking, oh, signal's not very good in certain parts, so we have an offline map. Literally, it's on the phone, it never goes away, you can always open it, so you can always see a map. Every one of those buttons on there, you press it, it will open the point on the trail. You'll get all of the content, all the imagery, all the written words, which you'll see in a minute. If you have signal, we go one better. Now when you press on the map button, the app itself tests whether you've got signal. So if you have signal, it will open initially the online map. If you haven't got signal, it will default to the offline map. So you're never stuck as a user. Why do we want the online map being used? Because every time someone's using that online map, it'll have GPS on. We are getting in our server where you are. We can actually see where you are, and we record that data. Now, for actually return on investment from a platform like this, that data is very, very important, because we can see what people are doing and where they're going, or where they're not going and what they're not doing through that screen. I'll come on to how we attach a name to that data in a minute. Click on the icon, opens up the waypoint that you wanted to go and visit. Obviously we've got plus and minus, you can zoom in, you can stretch with your finger. The offline map is high resolution. What that means, it will never blur. You can get to the detailist points and it will be still perfectly clear. Obviously with the online map you can do exactly the same. Waypoint list. There's a whole list of all 25, 26 waypoints per trail. You can just open the list and then choose whichever one you want to do if you don't want to use a map. Once again, we've got these 2 icons at the top. Nearest waypoint, so if you press that, it will obviously use the GPS and take you to maybe number 7, because you're closest to number 7, or it will just start and open point number 1 on the trail account. So people should never get lost or never be in a position where they don't know what the closest waypoint is to them. We've now opened the waypoint menu, and what we have here is obviously all the content per waypoint. So how to get here? You'll notice there it says, well, you won't be able to read it, but John Mound and the Wild Garden is 123.52 miles away. I was sat in Manchester when I did the screen grab. But just once again to show you it does work. Highlight then, obviously the deep, rich content that James and his team have produced to engage the actual visitor. We've then got further information, which on this screen grab is a whole list of links that they can go out to. So there's a substantial amount of content they can bring straight into their phone by using those links, but they never leave the app. They don't disappear. They'll open a website, but they never go into that website. It's all within the application, which is critical because we want them to keep using it. And then we have, obviously it's a trail, we encourage them to read this and then move on to the next waypoint. Once again, critical, obviously keeping instead of just doing one thing, we get them to do multiple things, and we give them all the tools to be able to do that. Here's the Twitter button, and there's the 5 Twitter accounts. So click on any one, log in, and you're straight into the account, and people can then start sharing through social media the great time they're having on their Oxtrails. Now, I don't know whether anyone wants to put a hand up. Who's in the room that they know their business is not on the trail? There's one person I know because I spoke to them talking earlier to this side of the room. Anyone wants to? Gentleman there, thank you. That'll help me through. So, what we designed it to do, because obviously it's great trails and people coming, and no disrespect to the railway centre, people visiting, but your business might be just down the route, round the corner. So what we've designed it is we can link businesses to waypoints. So they're not actually the waypoint content and the description with the gallery, but with one click the person can find that business that's close to them. So every business can actually be linked to a waypoint. Within that, this screen I've grabbed shows that you can have your logo, you can have your business description, the category of type of business you are. Here I've got, it's a real business, I think in Henley, food and drink, and it's a cafe. It's got the address, it's got their phone number, it's got their email address, it's got their website, it's got their Facebook, it's got their Twitter. Sorry, the screen wasn't, it was too long when I grabbed it. But if there's one message I live with you today, I want your business connected to these waypoints. And there's a very important reason why. Let's just click through that. Is once you're connected to a waypoint, and if you put an offer out, so I just put one, it could be, you know, buy 2 coffees and get an ice cream half price at the cafe, that offer is only available to the user if they opt in. Once they opt in, we've now got a name that goes against all the other data that we pulled, because we knew where they were going and what they were doing, but we didn't have a name. The opt-in gives us the name. People will opt in, because all the rest of the content is free, they'll opt in for a reward. The vouchers are the reward. The businesses, you can then obviously entice people in, there and then when they're stood there, they redeem the voucher, we've got that data, and we can share that data back with the business. So you then build your own opt-in customer database for future marketing. This is pretty unique, nowhere else in the country is doing this, but it will only be successful if businesses actually attach themselves. So what I'm looking for is businesses to email me, go on a website link at the end, and just simply ask to be included. It is free for 6 months, completely free. Any questions on that? Okay. So once we've got you're interested, we can then find the nearest waypoint to you, and we'll attach you to that waypoint. Then you can go in and set up whatever promotional activity you want. This is actually pretty sophisticated, but I've kept it simple for this afternoon. You can create a voucher offer in there. You can have a start and finish date within it. You can then put whatever offer you want to put on it. And what we'll be doing as we move forward with this platform, for example, if someone redeems, customer comes to use the voucher that they've seen for your business, they have to sign in. And that is really critical, because that helps you for your future marketing, because we're getting opt-in data. The opt-in says we will share that data with you as a business. So, as I say, we're going to give real customer data to you. That's the end of my bit. Just to recap then, there is a commercial model behind this, but we're giving 6 months free trial to every business to be involved. After that 6 months, there is a monthly charge there for obviously capturing that consumer data and promoting your business through the application.